Hi everyone, it's Craig here from Westcourt, along here with Jenny as well.
Hey.
Today we're talking about loan structuring and how to get it right and not create any unnecessary work for yourself or your beloved tax agent.
Cool. So one of the main things, I guess, to think about when you are getting a loan is the purpose of the loan. So for instance, are you getting a loan because you want to buy a rental property, or are you getting it because you want to get your home loan? Basically, that will lead into the deductibility of the interest on that loan, and obviously there's tax implications that comes with that. So for instance, if you are getting a loan to get a rental property, the interest on that loan is deductible, so that's a really good thing. That's what we want. However, if you are getting a loan for personal reasons, then that's not deductible. Also, if you do get a loan and for some reason you draw down on that loan and it becomes a mixed purpose loan, then that's another sort of layer to consider, because then you'll have to do allocations on the interest, because you can't pick and choose what sort of portion of that loan is to do with business or to do with private. You just pay the loan as it is, then we gotta work out what portion is what. So that'll affect how much sort of interest you can then deduct.
That's right, and the importance of that comes down to what was the money actually used for. As Jenny was saying, that's what the purpose is. So if you have a mixed loan, which some people like to think they've had a house they've lived in, they've paid down the mortgage, they want to buy another place to live in but keep the original as an investment property that is going to redraw off that original loan, the increase in loan isn't deductible, because it comes down what is that money being used for. That money is being used to buy a new family home or main residence, so the interest on that isn't deductible. Even though the actual loan itself has increased, it comes down what is the purpose of the funds, and that's where the deductibility comes through on that situation. One thing to circumvent that situation is creating an offset account. So you might have your property purchase, which is where the common scenario is. You'll have a loan, you'll actually have a running parallel to that will be an offset account. So surplus cash can go into the offset account. That'll allow for a reduction in the interest calculated on the original loan. So then if the purpose of that property changes, so you decide it's gone from your main home into an investment property, you can then withdraw funds out of the offset account, and then the interest on that loan retains its integrity, so the interest can then be deductible if that property is now being rented out. But if you did a redraw, that integrity of the funds is different. So that's where an offset account can be really valuable, having a long-term plan for a property but having multiple uses for it.
Cool. Also, something to think about is not cross-collateralizing your loan. So for instance, if you have several assets, business, real estate, and you want to get a loan, it's better to, I guess, branch out and have multiple loans if that suits. Just because if you do cross-collateralize, so what I mean by cross-collateralize is if you have those multiple properties and you get a loan from the same bank, so you're using all your assets for one loan.
Creates like a spider web.
Yeah.
So you might have your house, investment property, business, or multiple investment properties. Each loan relates to each asset, but the securities all cross-webbed over each other. So banks love to do it because it just means it's an all-in approach. The downside is if you want to sell an asset to then free up cash, it can be really difficult, because the bank will then say, well, that asset was secured against all these other ones, and they can just basically gobble up all the cash. So your plan to then free up cash has now been eliminated because the bank's taken all the money for their purposes, because the security is across everything like a spider's web. So in an ideal situation, you have the loan and security sort of in a silo basis per asset. So that way, if you need to offload, it can be done in a much cleaner manner and keep life simple at the end of the day as well.
Yeah. So, and also, you know, if you're struggling with that cash flow, some banks do have like a limit on their debt that you can get, and if you do get it from one bank, then you're maximizing that, and you know, you're limiting yourself from getting more access to funds, I guess. So if you have, you know, if you branch out, then that debt, that limit, I guess, gets bigger. So
yeah, because different banks have different policies depending on whether it's a big four or a second tier, and being able to be spread across multiple lenders means you can also play them against each other to get outcomes that suit your situation. So we don't want people to be, you know, just borrow money for the sake of it. But if you need to, you know, flex a bit of muscle against the bank, for lack of a better word, it's easy to do it when you're sort of scattered across multiple lenders as opposed to one, because then if you have across one, they own you. Essentially.
So, you know, if you do have, I guess, plans to get loans, we're here to help. We do a bit of work around loan structuring and checking loan agreements and all that with clients. So we have tax agents here that can help you out. So yeah, reach out whenever it comes, I guess.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.